The emergency room at County General Hospital runs on controlled chaos and the will of people who refuse to break. Dr. Sarah Chen has mastered both. She moves between exam rooms with practiced efficiency, her hands steady as she sutures a construction worker's laceration. Her voice calm as she explains discharge instructions to a teenager with a broken arm, her mind already 3 steps ahead to the next crisis waiting behind the curtain. "Dr. Chen, we need you in trauma too," a nurse calls out. Sarah snaps off her gloves and moves immediately, muscle memory guiding her through the controlled pandemonium. Another gunshot wound, another young man bleeding out because someone thought territory was worth more than life. She works for 40 minutes to stabilize him, her hands moving with the precision that comes from doing this too many times. When she finally steps out, peeling off blood-stained gloves, her attending physician stops her in the hallway. "Sarah, you've been here for 11 hours. Your shift ended 2 hours ago." "I know. I'm leaving soon. That's what you said yesterday. And the day before." "Doctor." Morrison's expression is kind but firm. "You're one of our best trauma surgeons. But you're running yourself into the ground. When was the last time you took a full day off?" Sarah wants to say she can't remember, but that would be admitting how completely her life has narrowed to survival mode. "Work. Maya. Sleep if there's time. Repeat. I need the hours, David. The overtime pays for Maya's after-school program. There are other ways too." "No, there aren't." Sarah's voice is sharper than intended. "I'm a single mother with a 7-year-old daughter and medical school debt that won't disappear just because my husband died. I work the hours I need to work." Dr. Morrison nods, understanding the mathematics of necessity. "At least grab something from the cafeteria before you go. You can't save lives if you collapse from exhaustion." Sarah checks her phone as she heads to the vending machines. The cafeteria closed an hour ago. 3 texts from Mrs. Kim. "Maya ate dinner. Homework done. She keeps asking about the dance tomorrow. The father-daughter dance. Sarah has been dreading it for weeks. Ever since the permission slip came home. Maya had been so excited initially, chattering about the pink dress they'd found on sale, practicing her dance moves in the living room. Then, gradually, the reality had settled in. There would be no father to take her. Sarah had suggested alternatives. Uncle James could fly in, maybe one of her male colleagues from the hospital, but Maya had quietly declined. "It's okay, Mom. I don't have to go." That quiet acceptance, that premature understanding that she was different from other children, that some experiences would simply pass her by, it had broken something in Sarah. Her daughter shouldn't have to learn resignation at 7 years old, but Sarah doesn't know how to fix it. She can't bring back Michael, can't undo the drunk driver who ran a red light 8 months ago and shattered their entire world. She can only keep moving forward, keep working, keep providing, keep surviving. She buys a sad sandwich from the vending machine and sits in the break room, too tired to taste it. Her reflection in the darkened window shows a woman 10 years older than her 32 years. When did the lines around her eyes deepen? When did she stop recognizing herself? Her phone rings. "Mrs. Kim." "Dr. Chen, I'm so sorry to bother you, but Maya is very upset. She won't tell me why, but she's crying and asking for you." Sarah is already moving, abandoning the sandwich, grabbing her bag. "I'm leaving now. 20 minutes. The bus ride home feels eternal." Sarah stares out the window at the city passing by, this place that once felt full of possibility when she and Michael first moved here for her residency. Now it just feels dangerous, expensive, and indifferent to the struggles of people trying to survive. When she finally reaches their apartment building, the old brick structure with the blue door and the heating that fails every winter, she finds Maya curled up on the couch in her school uniform, her face blotchy from crying. "Baby, what happened?" Sarah sits beside her daughter, pulling her close. Maya burrows into her mother's embrace. "Emily said that kids without dads are weird, that there's something wrong with us. She said her dad told her that families need fathers or they're broken. The casual cruelty of children, repeating the thoughtless words of adults." Sarah feels rage and helplessness in equal measure. "Maya, listen to me. There is nothing wrong with you, nothing broken about our family. We're different now, yes, but different doesn't mean less. Then why does it feel less?" Maya's voice is so small. "Why do I feel like I'm missing something everyone else has?" Sarah has no answer that doesn't sound like a platitude. Because Maya is missing something, not because their family is inadequate, but because death ripped away someone irreplaceable. No amount of positive thinking changes that reality. "You're right," Sarah says honestly. "You are missing something. You're missing your dad, who loved you more than anything in the world. And I'm missing my husband, who was my best friend. We lost something precious, and we're allowed to grieve that loss. But Emily's right too. Other kids have something we don't. Yes, they have different circumstances. But Maya? Families come in so many forms. Single parents, 2 moms, 2 dads, grandparents raising grandchildren, adopted families, foster families. Love is what makes a family, not a specific structure. Maya is quiet for a long moment. I don't want to go to the dance tomorrow. I don't want to be the only one without a dad there. Sarah's heart breaks all over again. Okay, we don't have to go. We can do something else instead. Maybe go to that new animated movie you wanted to see? Okay. But Maya's voice carries disappointment beneath the acceptance. After putting Maya to bed, Sarah sits alone in their small living room, staring at the pink dress hanging on the closet door. She thinks about Michael, about how he'd have handled this situation. He was always better at the emotional stuff. Always knew the right thing to say to make their daughter feel valued and secure. Sarah is good at trauma surgery, at making split-second life-or-death decisions, at keeping her hands steady while chaos erupts around her. But this, helping her daughter navigate grief and social rejection, and the complicated feelings of being different, she feels completely inadequate. Her phone buzzes. A message from the hospital. Sarah, we need you to cover Dr. Williams' shift tomorrow 2:10 p.m. Triple overtime. Can you do it? Triple overtime would mean she could afford new winter clothes for Maya. Could put more than $50 in savings. Could maybe take a day off next month. But it's also the day of the dance. The day she promised to take Maya to a movie instead. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Sarah texts back, can't tomorrow, sorry. It's a small rebellion against the treadmill of necessity, choosing her daughter over money. But it also means they'll keep scraping by, keep living paycheck to paycheck, keep existing in survival mode. She falls asleep on the couch, too exhausted to make it to her bedroom, dreaming of futures where she has the luxury of choosing between more than just different versions of barely enough. The next afternoon, Sarah walks with Maya toward Roosevelt Elementary, telling herself that attending just long enough to show support, then leaving before the actual dance begins, is a reasonable compromise. Maya hasn't asked for this, but Sarah needs to prove to herself that she's not completely failing as a mother. They're half a block away when Maya stops suddenly. Mom, I don't think I can do this. We don't have to go in, baby. We can turn around right now. But you took the afternoon off work. I don't want you to lose money because of me. 7 years old and already carrying guilt about family finances. Sarah kneels to her daughter's level. Maya, listen to me. You are more important than money. You are more important than work. You are the most important thing in my entire world. If you want to go home, we go home. Maya looks toward the school, where other children are arriving with their fathers. Sarah can see the longing and fear warring in her daughter's expression. Can we just sit outside for a minute, just to watch? Of course. They sit on the concrete steps, Maya in her pink dress that Sarah bought with money she couldn't afford, and Sarah in the work clothes she didn't have time to change out of. Other families pass them, fathers and daughters hand in hand, laughing, excited, complete. Sarah feels the inadequacy like a physical weight. She's fought so hard to give Maya everything, but she can't give her this. Can't manufacture a father, can't undo death, can't protect her daughter from the specific pain of absence. That's when the black Mercedes pulls up. Sarah notices it immediately. You don't work in an inner-city ER without developing an awareness of expensive cars in modest neighborhoods. They usually mean either doctors visiting patients or something more dangerous. A man emerges, tall, impeccably dressed, moving with a controlled grace that Sarah recognizes. She's treated enough trauma victims to know what violence looks like in human form, the particular confidence of someone who's never had to fear for their safety because they're the threat. She instinctively moves closer to Maya, protective instincts firing, but then she sees her daughter's face. Maya is staring at the man with an expression Sarah hasn't seen in 8 months' hope. Before Sarah can intervene, Maya stands and walks toward him. Sarah follows immediately, ready to grab her daughter and run if necessary. She arrives just in time to hear Maya ask, "Can you pretend to be my dad? Just for today? Just for an hour at the dance? So I'm not the only one without a father?" The man, she can see his face clearly now, recognizes him from news reports and police bulletins that occasionally circulate through the hospital, goes very still. Alessandro Vitale, head of the city's most powerful crime family, the reason half their trauma cases exist. And he's looking at Sarah's daughter with an expression that catches Sarah completely off guard. Not predatory calculation or cold assessment. Pain, recognition, understanding. "You don't know me," he says carefully to Maya. "You don't know anything about who I am or what I do. I know you understand what it's like to miss someone." Maya replies with devastating simplicity. "I know you stopped to talk to me when everyone else just walked past. I know you told me the truth instead of making up pretty lies. That's enough." Sarah should intervene, should grab Maya and leave immediately. This man represents everything she fights against in the ER, the violence, the drugs, the systemic corruption that destroys communities. But she sees something in his face that stops her. Grief. The same grief she carries every day. The same recognition that some losses are irreversible and unbearable. He's going to say yes, she realizes. He's going to walk into that school with Maya because he sees his own lost child in her daughter's desperation. "What's your name?" he asks Maya gently. "Maya Chen." His eyes flicker to Sarah for the first time, a brief acknowledgement of her presence. She sees the calculation there. He knows she's the mother, knows she could stop this, knows she should stop this. "I'm Marcus," he says, choosing what Sarah suspects is a fake name. Sarah makes a decision in that moment that will change all their lives. She steps forward, letting him see her clearly, letting him understand that she's aware of who he is and what he represents. "1 hour, Sarah says, her voice carrying the authority she uses in trauma bays when she needs absolute compliance. "You stay in public view at all times. You don't give her any contact information. You don't make promises you can't keep. And at the end of the hour, you walk away and never come back." Alessandro Vitali turns his full attention to her, and Sarah feels the weight of it. He's assessing her just as she's assessing him. Two people used to reading situations quickly, making split-second judgments that have permanent consequences. "Agreed," he says finally. Then, quieter, directed only at her. "I lost my daughter 3 years ago. She was 6. I would never hurt a child." The admission costs him something. Sarah can see it in the tension around his eyes. This is not a man accustomed to vulnerability, which makes the fact that he's offering it now significant. 1 hour, Sarah repeats. Then, to Maya, "Baby, is this what you want? This man is a stranger. We don't know him." "I know, Mom, but he understands. I can tell." Sarah thinks about all the ways this could go wrong, all the dangers she's inviting by allowing this. But she also thinks about Maya's face minutes ago, resigned and sad and learning too young that some joys are simply not available to her. "Okay," Sarah says, making peace with the risk. 1 hour. I'll be right here waiting. She watches them walk toward the gymnasium together, her daughter's small hand in this dangerous stranger's large one, and wonders if she's just made the worst decision of her life or somehow, impossibly, the right one. Sarah doesn't wait on the steps. She follows them inside, maintaining distance but keeping Maya in sight at all times. She positions herself near the refreshment table where she has a clear view of the dance floor and both exits. Principal Morrison recognizes her immediately. "Dr. Chen, so glad you could make it, and I see Maya found a companion for the evening. Do you know who that is?" Sarah asks quietly. The principal's expression flickers brief surprise, then careful neutrality. "I know exactly who that is. I also know that your daughter has been sitting alone outside this building for the past 3 Friday afternoons, watching other children prepare for this dance. If she's smiling now, if she's happy now, I'm choosing to believe that's what matters." Sarah wants to argue, wants to insist that safety matters more than happiness. But she's also a mother who's watched her daughter cry herself to sleep, who's heard Maya whisper to the photograph on her nightstand that she misses her daddy. She watches Alessandro Marcus dance with Maya. He's awkward at first, clearly unused to moving to pop music with a 7-year-old, but he's trying. And more importantly, he's present, fully engaged, giving Maya his complete attention in a way that suggests this matters to him beyond simple charity. Mrs. Patterson, Maya's teacher, appears beside Sarah with a cup of punch. "That's an interesting development. You could say that. Is he family?" Sarah considers how to answer. "No, just someone who saw a child in need and decided to help." Mrs. Patterson watches them with the keen observation of someone who's spent 30 years reading children and the adults around them. He's good with her. Careful, respectful, whatever else he might be. In this moment, he's exactly what she needs. Sarah wants to maintain her protective anger, her certainty that this is wrong, but watching Maya laugh, watching her introduce Marcus to her classmates with obvious pride, Sarah has to admit that her daughter is happier than she's been in months. The hour passes. Other parents chat with Sarah, asking about Maya's friend, complimenting him on his patience with the children. Sarah deflects, giving vague answers, maintaining the fiction that he's someone they know casually. When the dance begins to wind down, Alessandro brings Maya back to where Sarah waits. Her daughter is glowing, exhausted, and happy. "Thank you," Maya tells him seriously. "This was the best night ever." "The pleasure was mine, Piccola." He looks at Sarah, and she sees the question in his eyes. This is where he walks away. This is the agreement. But Sarah finds herself reconsidering. Not because she's changed her mind about who he is or what he represents, but because she saw something in the past hour that complicated her assumptions. She saw a man treat her daughter with genuine kindness, saw him interact with other children and parents without a trace of the menace he surely carries in his world. She saw someone as broken by loss as she is, trying to find meaning in the wreckage. "Maya," Sarah says carefully, "why don't you go get your backpack from Mrs. Patterson's room? I need to talk to Marcus for a moment." After Maya leaves, Sarah faces Alessandro directly. "I know who you are. I work at County General. I treat the casualties your world creates." "I know," he says quietly. "I recognized you too. Dr. Chen, the trauma surgeon who saves more gunshot victims than anyone else in the city. I've heard my men speak of you with something approaching reverence." The admission startles her. "Then you understand why this should end here. Why I can't let you near my daughter again." "I do understand, and I'll respect whatever boundary you set." He pauses. "But I'd like to make a request first. May I?" Sarah nods warily. "Your daughter asked me to pretend to be her father for 1 hour. It was supposed to be temporary, meaningless. But Dr. Chen, it wasn't meaningless to me. For 60 minutes, I remembered what it felt like to be someone's protector, to make a child feel safe and valued. I don't want that to end." "What are you asking?" "I'm asking for permission to be present in Maya's life. Not as a father, I have no right to claim that, but as someone who cares about her well-being, who wants to help however I can." Sarah's instincts scream danger. This is how it starts. How criminals infiltrate lives and create dependencies. And what do you get out of it? Honestly? Alessandro's expression is raw with vulnerability. A chance to honor my daughter's memory by protecting another child. A chance to be something other than what I've become. A chance to remember that I'm human. That's a lot to ask for. A lot to risk. I know. Which is why I'm also offering something in return. You're building the apartment complex you live in. I own it. Through shell companies. But it's mine. The heat that doesn't work. The security issues. The deferred maintenance. I'll fix all of it. And your late-night bus commute from the hospital, I'll arrange safe transportation. No obligation, no strings. Whether you let me see Maya again or not, those things will happen because they should have happened already. Sarah stares at him, trying to process this. You're trying to buy access to my daughter. No. I'm trying to prove that I understand the responsibility I'm asking for, that I'm serious about making your lives better, not more complicated. Maya returns with her backpack, interrupting the tense conversation. Are you ready to go home, Mom? I'm so tired. But it's the good kind of tired. Like when you've had the best day ever. Sarah looks at her daughter's happy face, then at Alessandro's carefully neutral expression. She thinks about the hours ahead, the late bus rides, the cold apartment, the constant mathematics of survival. She thinks about Maya's resilience in the face of loss, her brave request to a stranger, her desperate need for a father figure. And Sarah thinks about her own needs, pushed down for so long she almost forgot they existed. The need for help, for partnership, for someone else to share the crushing weight of single parenthood. Give me your phone number, Sarah says to Alessandro. Not for Maya, for me. So I can call you tomorrow and we can discuss boundaries, expectations, and what this arrangement actually looks like. Alessandro's expression flickers with surprise and something that might be respect. Of course. He pulls out a business card, simple, expensive, just a phone number. Sarah takes it, studies it, then pockets it. This doesn't mean I trust you. It means I'm willing to consider the possibility that you're being honest about wanting to help. But the first time you cross a line, the first time Maya is exposed to anything inappropriate, we're done. No second chances. Understood. As they walk to the bus stop, Maya chattering about her favorite moments from the dance, Sarah feels the business card in her pocket like a talisman. She's either just made a terrible mistake, or opened a door to something that might actually improve their lives. Tomorrow she'll call. Tomorrow she'll set boundaries and demand answers. Tomorrow, She'll be the careful, strategic mother she's always been. But tonight, watching Maya replay her dance moves on the sidewalk, Sarah allows herself to feel something she hasn't felt in 8 months. Relief. That for once, just once, she doesn't have to carry everything alone. The next morning, Sarah calls the number on the card before her courage can fade. Alessandro answers on the first ring, as if he's been waiting. Dr. Chen, we need to meet, face to face, without Maya. I have questions, and I need honest answers. Before this goes any further, name the time and place. Roosevelt Elementary Playground, 2 o'clock. Public, safe, and it lets me see how you handle a conversation on my terms, in my territory. I'll be there. Sarah spends the morning second-guessing herself, researching Alessandro Vitali online, reading news reports and police bulletins that paint a picture of a dangerous man who's built an empire on activities that destroy lives. But she also finds references to community donations, anonymous funding for youth programs, a curious pattern of protection for certain neighborhoods. She arrives at the playground 15 minutes early, claiming the bench near the jungle gym that offers clear sightlines to all approaches. When Alessandro arrives in his black Mercedes, she notes that he comes alone, no bodyguards, no obvious weapons. He sits on the opposite end of the bench, maintaining distance, letting her control the interaction. I need to understand something, Sarah begins. You run a criminal organization. You profit from activities that create the trauma cases I treat. How am I supposed to reconcile letting you near my daughter with the harm you cause? You're not, Alessandro replies with blunt honesty. There is no reconciling it. What I do has consequences, and some of those consequences destroy lives. I can't undo that, and I won't insult you by pretending otherwise. The answer catches her off guard. She expected justification, rationalization, the kind of moral gymnastics criminals use to explain their choices. Then why should I trust you with Maya? Because the man who runs that organization and the man who wants to read stories to your daughter are two different people occupying the same body, and lately I've been trying to figure out if the second man can eventually replace the first. That's not good enough. I know. Alessandro leans forward, his expression intense. So, let me offer you something more concrete. I'm in the process of transitioning my operations, moving toward legitimate businesses, ending the activities you find most objectionable. It will take years, and there will be resistance, but I'm committed to it. Why? What changed? My daughter died 3 years ago, made me promise on her deathbed to help children who need protecting. I tried to honor that by volunteering, by doing small things, but meeting Maya reminded me that Lily would want me to do more, to actually transform the world those children live in. Sarah studies his face, looking for deception. She's spent 15 years reading people under stress, assessing whether patients are telling the truth about their symptoms or hiding information that might kill them. She sees only brutal honesty in Alessandro's expression. Here's what I'm willing to agree to, Sarah says, making a decision that terrifies and excites her in equal measure. You can see Maya 1 afternoon a week, supervised initially, until I'm confident you're safe. No gifts beyond reasonable limits. No exposing her to your business. No making promises about the future until we both know this is sustainable. And what about you? Alessandro asks quietly. What about me? Dr. Chen. Sarah, you work yourself to exhaustion. You exist in pure survival mode. You don't have to live like that. Let me help. Not as charity, but as someone who recognizes your strength and wants to support it. The offer is dangerous in its appeal. Sarah has been carrying everything alone for so long that the idea of sharing the burden feels almost incomprehensible. I don't need a savior. I know. You need a partner. Someone who shares responsibility without trying to control it. Someone who respects your autonomy while providing backup when the weight gets too heavy. And that's what you're offering? Partnership? That's what I'm hoping might eventually develop. If you'll let it. Sarah is quiet for a long moment, weighing risks against potential rewards. I'll consider it. But Alessandro, and I'm calling you that because Marcus is fiction, and we're past pretending if this goes wrong. If Maya gets hurt because I trusted you, I will use every resource I have to destroy you. I know people in law enforcement, in the DA's office, in the media. I will burn your world down. Alessandro smiles, and it's genuine. Dr. Chen, I would expect nothing less from you. And frankly, the fact that you're willing to threaten me tells me you're exactly the kind of mother Maya needs. Fierce, protective, unwilling to compromise her daughter's safety for anything. They shake hands, sealing an agreement that neither fully understands yet. Sarah leaves the playground feeling like she's just stepped off a cliff. But for the first time in months, she also feels something else. Possibility. That maybe, just maybe, there's a future ahead that's more than just survival. She just doesn't know yet how complicated that future will become, or how deeply this unlikely alliance will transform all of them. Over the following weeks, Sarah discovers that accepting help from Alessandro Vitale is far more complicated than she anticipated. The building improvements happen immediately. New heating system, repaired windows, security cameras, a maintenance crew that actually responds to tenant complaints. Sarah's neighbors whisper about the sudden changes, speculating about lottery wins or mysterious benefactors. The car service appears on her first late shift after their playground meeting. Tony, the driver Alessandro introduced via text, waits at the hospital entrance with respectful distance and quiet competence. Sarah considers refusing on principle, then thinks about the 2-bus route through neighborhoods where 3 women were mugged last month alone. She accepts the ride. But it's the weekly visits with Maya that force Sarah to confront her own assumptions about who Alessandro Vitale really is. The first supervised visit happens at a public park. Sarah watches from a nearby bench as Alessandro teaches Maya to play chess on a portable board he brought. He's patient, explaining strategies without condescension, letting her make mistakes and learn from them. "Your mother is watching us very carefully," Alessandro observes, moving his knight. "She's protecting me," Maya says, matter-of-factly. "That's what moms do. She works really hard to keep me safe." "She's extraordinary," Alessandro says quietly, and something in his tone makes Sarah's pulse quicken. He's not looking at Maya when he says it. He's looking at Sarah. The second visit, Alessandro takes them to a museum. Sarah insists on coming along, still not ready to leave them alone. She watches him engage with Maya's endless questions about dinosaurs and ancient civilizations. Notices how he encourages her curiosity rather than dismissing it. "Your daughter is brilliant," he tells Sarah during a quiet moment while Maya studies a T-Rex skeleton. "She thinks strategically, sees patterns other children miss." "She gets that from her father," Sarah replies, the words automatic. "Michael was an engineer. Everything was systems and logic for him. And you? Where does she get her courage?" Sarah meets his eyes, surprised by the directness. "What makes you think she gets that from me?" "Because you let a known criminal near your daughter based on nothing but instinct and a desperate hope that you were reading the situation correctly. That's either courage or recklessness, and I don't think you do anything recklessly." The observation unsettles Sarah because it's accurate. She spent the past 2 weeks researching everything she can find about Alessandro, analyzing their interactions, looking for warning signs that she's made a terrible mistake. So far, she's found nothing but a man who seems genuinely invested in Maya's well-being. But that doesn't mean she trusts him. Trust requires more than absence of red flags. "I need to ask you something," Sarah says, keeping her voice low. "The building improvements, the car service, the time you spend with Maya. What are you getting out of this? Really?" Alessandro is quiet for a moment, watching Maya bounce excitedly in front of the dinosaur exhibit. "Honestly, I'm getting a reason to be better than I am. When I'm with Maya, I see the world through her eyes. Everything is possible. Every problem has a solution. Every ending can be happy if you're brave enough." I'd forgotten what that felt like. "That's what you get from Maya. What about me? What do you get from helping me?" Now Alessandro turns to face her fully, and Sarah feels the intensity of his attention like a physical force. "From you, Dr. Chen, I get challenged. You don't let me off easy. Don't accept my self-pity or rationalizations. You demand that I be worthy of your trust, and that makes me want to actually become worthy of it." Something shifts in Sarah's chest, a sensation she hasn't felt since Michael died. Attraction. Interest. The dangerous recognition that this man sees her not just as Maya's mother, but as a woman with her own complexity and strength. "We should get Maya," Sarah says, stepping back from whatever moment they're creating. It's almost dinner time, but as they walk through the museum, Sarah catches herself noticing details about Alessandro she shouldn't. The way he unconsciously checks exits and sightlines trauma surgeon instincts recognize security professional habits. The expensive suit that somehow looks comfortable rather than stuffy. The careful way he talks to Maya, never patronizing, always respectful. The way he looks at Sarah when he thinks she's not paying attention. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. 3 weeks into their arrangement, Sarah makes a decision that surprises even herself. She invites Alessandro to dinner at their apartment. Are you sure about this, Mrs. Kim asks when Sarah mentions the plan. The elderly woman has been watching the developing situation with quiet concern. Bringing him into your home, Dr. Chen. That's different from public meetings. I know. But if this arrangement is going to continue, I need to see how he interacts with Maya in our space. Whether he respects our boundaries when there aren't witnesses around. Mrs. Kim nods slowly. And you? How do you interact with him when there are no witnesses? The question is too perceptive. I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do. I see how you look at him when you think no one notices. Like you're trying to figure out if you're allowed to feel what you're feeling. Sarah wants to deny it, but Mrs. Kim has known her too long. It doesn't matter what I feel. He's not someone I can afford to have feelings about. Maybe not. But feelings don't wait for permission, Dr. Chen. They just arrive and demand to be dealt with. The dinner happens on a Wednesday evening. Alessandro arrives exactly on time, carrying flowers for Sarah and a chess strategy book for Maya that's somehow age-appropriate and challenging simultaneously. You didn't have to bring anything, Sarah says, accepting the flowers, daisies, simple and unpretentious, not the roses she would have expected. My mother raised me with manners, Alessandro replies. You don't show up at someone's home empty-handed. Dinner is spaghetti, the only dish Sarah has time and energy to make reliably. She watches Alessandro interact with Maya, noticing how naturally he fits into the rhythm of their small family. He helps set the table without being asked, engages with Maya's chatter about school, compliments Sarah's cooking without the false enthusiasm of someone being polite. Marcus, do you have a family? Maya asks suddenly. Like a wife and kids of your own? Sarah tenses, wondering how he'll handle this question. I had a daughter once, Alessandro says gently. Her name was Lily. She died 3 years ago from a brain tumor. I'm not married anymore. My wife and I grew apart after we lost Lily. Some grief brings people together, but ours pushed us apart. I'm sorry, Maya says with the solemn empathy of someone who understands loss. Do you miss her? Lily, every single day. But spending time with you helps me remember the good parts instead of just the sad parts. You remind me that Lily would want me to keep living, keep connecting with people, keep finding joy where I can. Sarah feels her throat tighten. There's no manipulation in his voice, no performance for her benefit, just raw honesty, shared with a child who's brave enough to ask difficult questions. After dinner, Maya works on homework while Alessandro helps Sarah clean up. They move around the small kitchen in surprising synchronization, falling into an easy rhythm that feels dangerous in its domesticity. Thank you for inviting me, Alessandro says quietly, drying dishes while Sarah washes. This means more than you probably realize. I needed to see you here, Sarah admits. In our space, to understand if this is sustainable or if we're just playing pretend in public places. And? What's your assessment? Sarah considers the question carefully. You're good with her, better than I expected. You treat her like a person, not a child to be managed. You listen when she talks. You take her interests seriously. She pauses. But I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop, for whatever angle you're working to reveal itself. Alessandro sets down the dish towel and turns to face her. Sarah, I'm not working an angle. I'm a man trying to be better than I've been, and your daughter is teaching me how. And me? What am I teaching you? The question comes out more vulnerable than she intended. Alessandro steps closer, close enough that Sarah can smell his cologne, can see the flecks of gray in his dark hair. You're teaching me that strength doesn't mean doing everything alone, that asking for help isn't weakness, that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is trust someone despite every logical reason not to. Sarah's breath catches. They're standing too close, the kitchen suddenly too small. She should step back, maintain professional distance, remember all the reasons this is complicated and dangerous. Instead, she holds his gaze. I'm terrified of this, of whatever this is becoming. So am I, Alessandro admits. I've spent 20 years building walls, becoming untouchable. You and Maya are demolishing those walls, and I have no idea who I am without them. Maybe that's the point. Maybe you get to discover who you actually are, instead of who you've had to be. Before either can respond, Maya calls from the living room. Mom, Marcus, I finished my homework. Can we play chess now? The moment breaks. Sarah and Alessandro step apart, returning to safer distance. But something has shifted between them. An acknowledgement of attraction and possibility that can't be taken back. They play chess, the three of them, until Maya starts yawning. Alessandro takes it as his cue to leave. At the door, While Maya's in the bathroom brushing her teeth, Alessandro turns to Sarah. I know this is complicated. I know I represent things you've spent your career fighting against. But I want you to know I'm serious about changing, about becoming someone worthy of being in your lives. Why does my opinion matter so much? Sarah asks. Because you see me clearly. Not the reputation, not the power, not the mythology, just the man. And you're still here, still giving me a chance, despite knowing exactly who I am. That's rare, precious. Sarah should say something safe, something that maintains boundaries. Instead, she hears herself say, I'm not just here for Maya anymore. I think you know that. Alessandro's expression transforms surprise, hope, something that looks like wonder. I was hoping, but I didn't want to assume. Don't assume anything. I'm still figuring out what this is, what I'm comfortable with. But I need you to know that if this continues, if we move forward, I'm making that choice consciously. Not because I'm desperate or naive, but because I see something in you worth the risk. That's all I can ask for. After he leaves, Sarah finds herself standing at the door longer than necessary, her heart racing with equal parts fear and excitement. Mrs. Kim emerges from her apartment across the hall, having clearly been listening. So, the elderly woman says with a knowing smile, You've decided to jump. I haven't decided anything, Sarah protests. Yes, you have. You've decided to let yourself feel something other than exhaustion and grief. That's a jump, Dr. Chen, and a brave one. Sarah returns to her apartment, where Maya is already asleep, clutching the chessbook Alessandro brought. She sits on the edge of her daughter's bed, watching her peaceful face, wondering if she's making a terrible mistake or finally allowing herself to hope for something better. Her phone buzzes. A text from Alessandro. Thank you for tonight, for trusting me with your home and your time. Sleep well, Sarah. The use of her first name, the intimacy of it, sends warmth through her chest. She types back. Thank you for being patient with my boundaries, for earning trust instead of demanding it. His response comes quickly. You're worth the patience. Both of you are. Sarah falls asleep that night feeling something she hasn't felt in months, anticipation for tomorrow, curiosity about what might develop, permission to want something beyond mere survival. She doesn't yet know how complicated that wanting will become, or how soon she'll be forced to fight for everything she's allowing herself to care about. 2 weeks later, Sarah is working a trauma shift when 3 gunshot victims arrive simultaneously. Gang violence, the paramedics report. Territorial dispute on the east side. Sarah works on autopilot, her hands steady despite her exhaustion. She's been at the hospital for 14 hours, covering for a colleague who called in sick. Her body is running on caffeine and muscle memory. She saves 2 of the 3 victims. The third, a 19-year-old kid with his whole life ahead of him, bleeds out despite her best efforts. His mother arrives just in time to hold him as he dies, her screams echoing through the ER in a way that will haunt Sarah for weeks. After it's over, after the paperwork is complete, and the family has been sedated and sent home with grief counselors, Sarah finds herself in the supply closet, shaking with the aftermath of adrenaline and sorrow. She pulls out her phone and, without thinking, calls Alessandro. He answers immediately. Sarah? It's 2 a.m. Are you okay? No. Her voice breaks on the word. I lost someone tonight. A kid, 19 years old, shot in a gang dispute over territory that doesn't matter. His mother watched him die, and I couldn't do anything to stop it. Where are you? Hospital. Supply closet in the ER. I'm fine. I just needed to... I don't know why I called you. Yes, you do. You called because you needed someone who understands that sometimes the world breaks you, and you need permission to acknowledge that instead of pretending to be okay. His voice is gentle, grounding. Stay there. I'm coming. Alessandro, you don't have to. I know I don't have to. I want to. 20 minutes. He arrives in 15, somehow gaining access to the ER despite visitor restrictions. Sarah sees him through the supply closet door window, talking to the charge nurse, who nods and points him in the right direction. When he opens the door, Sarah expects him to offer platitudes or try to fix her distress with solutions. Instead, he simply sits beside her on the floor among boxes of medical supplies and holds out his hand. Sarah takes it, and something inside her breaks loose. She cries for the 19-year-old who died, for his mother's screams, for all the violence she witnesses and can't prevent, for the exhaustion that's been accumulating for 8 months of doing everything alone. Alessandro doesn't tell her it's okay, doesn't try to minimize her pain or rush her through it. He just holds her hand and waits, present and solid and unshakable. "I'm so tired," Sarah whispers when the tears finally slow. "Not just physically. I'm tired of carrying everything, of being strong all the time, of pretending I have it all together when I'm barely surviving." "Then stop pretending. At least with me. You don't have to be strong every second of every day, Sarah. You're allowed to break down, to ask for help, to admit when things are too heavy. But if I stop being strong, if I let myself fall apart, who takes care of Maya? Who keeps everything running?" "Me," Alessandro says simply. "That's what partners do. They catch each other when one person needs to fall apart. You've been catching everyone else for so long, your patience, Maya. Even me in some ways. Let someone catch you for once." Sarah looks at him through tear-blurred vision. "Why are you here? Really? Why do you care about a doctor you barely know?" "Because you're not just any doctor I barely know. You're a woman who fights death every day with courage and skill. You're a mother who sacrifices everything for her daughter's well-being. You're someone who looked at a dangerous stranger and saw enough humanity to give him a chance at redemption." Alessandro's voice drops to barely above a whisper. "And because somewhere in the past few weeks, I've started falling for you, and I can't not care when you're hurting." The admission hangs in the air between them, raw and honest. Sarah knows she should be careful, should maintain boundaries, should remember all the logical reasons this is complicated. Instead, she leans her head against his shoulder. "I'm falling too, and it terrifies me." "Good," Alessandro says, wrapping his arm around her. "If we're both terrified, at least we're terrified together." They sit like that for a long time. Two broken people finding unexpected strength in shared vulnerability. Eventually, Sarah's pager goes off, another trauma incoming, and she has to return to work. But something fundamental has changed. She's not alone anymore. Hasn't been for a while, but now she's finally allowing herself to admit it. The next morning, Sarah wakes to find Alessandro asleep on her couch. He'd driven her home at 4 a.m. after her shift finally ended, insisted on making sure she got inside safely, and apparently decided to stay when he saw how exhausted she was. Maya discovers him first. "Mom, Marcus fell asleep on our couch. Did he have a sleepover?" Sarah emerges from her bedroom, still in yesterday's scrubs, to find her daughter staring at Alessandro with delighted confusion. "He drove me home from work very late," Sarah explains. "I think he was too tired to go home himself." Alessandro stirs, clearly not as deeply asleep as he appeared. "I apologize. I meant to leave but didn't want you to be alone after such a difficult shift." "It's okay," Sarah says, surprising herself. A month ago, finding a man on her couch would have triggered panic. Now it just feels comfortable. "I need to shower and change." "Maya, can you help Marcus find the coffee?" While Sarah showers, she hears Maya and Alessandro talking in the kitchen. Their voices carry through the thin walls, Maya chattering about her spelling test, Alessandro responding with genuine interest, both of them laughing at something. When Sarah emerges, she finds them making pancakes together. Alessandro has somehow located ingredients she didn't know she had, and Maya is carefully measuring flour under his supervision. "We're making breakfast," Maya announces proudly. "Marcus says pancakes taste better when you make them yourself instead of buying the frozen ones." "He's probably right," Sarah says, pouring herself coffee from the fresh pot Alessandro made. They eat together, this makeshift family, and for the first time since Michael died, Sarah allows herself to imagine a future that includes more than just survival. Maybe there's room for joy, for partnership, for building something new from the pieces of what was lost. After breakfast, after Alessandro leaves with promises to see them again on Sunday, Maya turns to Sarah with serious eyes. "Mom, do you like Marcus? Like him?" Sarah could deflect, could maintain the comfortable fiction that Alessandro is just a friend helping them out. But Maya deserves honesty. "I think I might," Sarah admits. "Does that bother you?" Maya considers this carefully. "Is it okay to like someone who's not Daddy? Does that mean we're forgetting him?" Sarah kneels to her daughter's level, taking her small hands. "We will never forget Daddy. He was special and important and will always be part of our family. But Maya, people's hearts are big enough to hold more than one love. Loving someone new doesn't erase who we loved before. It just means we're brave enough to keep living, keep connecting, keep letting people matter to us. So it's okay that I love Marcus too? Even though he's not really my dad?" "Yes, baby, it's okay. Love doesn't have rules about who's allowed to matter to us." Maya hugs her mother tightly. "Good. Because I do love him. He makes you smile more. And he makes me feel safe, like Daddy used to." That afternoon, Sarah receives a text from Alessandro. Dinner tomorrow night? Just the two of us? If you're comfortable leaving Maya with Mrs. Kim. Sarah stares at the message, understanding what he's really asking. This would be a date. Not a supervised visit with Maya, not a casual group meal, but an actual date where they explore whatever is developing between them as adults, as potential partners. She should say no, should maintain boundaries, keep things focused on Maya. Avoid the complications of romantic involvement with a man whose world intersects with everything she opposes. She types back, yes, 7 o'clock. And Alessandro. This terrifies me. His response, me too. But the best things usually do. The dinner date happens at a small Italian restaurant far from Sarah's neighborhood, chosen for privacy and neutrality. Alessandro arrives in a simple dark sweater instead of his usual suit, an attempt at normalcy that Sarah finds endearing. You look beautiful, he says when she approaches, and Sarah feels self-conscious in the dress she borrowed from a colleague. She hasn't dressed up for anyone in over a year. You look different without the suit, she observes. More human, less untouchable. That's the goal tonight. To be just Alessandro and Sarah. Two people trying to figure out if this impossible thing between us could actually work. They order wine, share appetizers, and for the first hour, carefully avoid discussing anything too serious. They talk about Maya's progress in school, about Alessandro's memories of Lily, about Sarah's decision to become a trauma surgeon after witnessing a car accident as a teenager. But eventually, reality intrudes. I need to tell you something, Alessandro says, his expression shifting to something more guarded. There's a situation developing with one of my rivals, Carmine Benedetti. He's been asking questions about you and Maya. Sarah's stomach drops. What kind of questions? The kind that suggest he's looking for leverage. He sees my attachment to you both as a weakness he can exploit. I've tried to negotiate with him, offered territorial concessions in exchange for leaving you alone, but he's refused. So what happens now? I'm calling a council meeting next week, bringing evidence of his violations, proposing changes to how the families operate. It's risky, but it's the only way to neutralize the threat without direct conflict that could endanger civilians. Sarah sets down her wine glass carefully. When you say, endanger civilians, you mean Maya and me? Yes. And this council meeting, what are the chances it works? Alessandro is quiet for a moment. Honestly, maybe 60%. The other 40%. Carmine escalates, other families take sides, and things get significantly more dangerous. Sarah feels anger rising, hot and sharp. So by getting involved with you, by letting you into our lives, I've painted a target on my daughter's back. The exact thing I was afraid of is happening. Sarah, no. She stands abruptly. You promised me that if your world ever threatened Maya, you'd walk away. Remember? That was the condition. Her safety comes first. Sitting down and leaving aren't the same thing, Alessandro says quietly, but with steel underneath. Walking away now doesn't make Carmine forget about you. It just means you'd be vulnerable without my protection. So, I'm trapped. Is that what you're saying? That I made one mistake and now I'm stuck in your world whether I want to be or not? You're not trapped. You're in danger, yes, but you have choices about how to handle it. You can let me protect you both while I deal with this situation. Or you can run, I'll help you relocate. New identities, whatever you need. Or, he pauses, you can stay and fight alongside me. The third option catches Sarah off guard. Fight? What does that even mean? It means you stop being a passive participant in your own life. You have resources. I don't connections in law enforcement, in the DA's office, in the medical community, people who trust you, who would listen if you brought them information about criminal activities. You could be an active ally instead of someone I'm just protecting. Sarah stares at him, processing this. You're asking me to help you take down Carmine Benedetti, to use my professional connections to build a case against him. I'm saying that if you want agency in this situation, if you want to be more than someone whose safety I'm responsible for, there are ways to contribute, but only if you choose to. I won't ask you to compromise your ethics for me. Sarah sits back down slowly. Her initial anger is shifting into something more complex, recognition that Alessandro is offering her power instead of relegating her to damsel in distress status. What kind of information would you need? She asks carefully. Medical records showing patterns of gang violence, testimony about casualties that could be linked to Carmine's operations, connections to law enforcement who might be willing to investigate if they had enough evidence to act on. You're asking me to violate patient confidentiality and HIPAA regulations. I'm asking you to consider whether those regulations matter more than stopping the violence that creates those patients in the first place. But Sarah, I meant what I said. I won't pressure you. This has to be your choice. Sarah thinks about the 19-year-old who died in her ER 2 nights ago, about his mother's screams, about the dozens of similar cases she treats every month. Young people destroyed by territorial disputes that benefit men like Carmine Benedetti. She thinks about Maya, about the childhood her daughter deserves, about the world Sarah wants her to grow up in. I need time to think about this, Sarah says finally. And I need you to be honest with me. Is there any scenario where Maya and I are completely safe, where we can just go back to our normal lives? Alessandro meets her eyes steadily. No. Carmine already knows you matter to me. Even if I disappear from your lives completely, he might still use that knowledge. The only way to guarantee your safety is to neutralize him as a threat entirely. Through this council meeting, yes, and potentially through legal channels if you're willing to help build that case. Sarah is quiet for a long moment, turning over possibilities in her mind. Finally, she says, I'll think about it. But Alessandro, if I do this, if I actively help you, I need something in return. Anything. I need you to promise me that this is the last time, that after we deal with Carmine, you follow through on transforming your operations, that you actually become the man you keep saying you want to be, not just someone who talks about change while maintaining the status quo. Alessandro reaches across the table and takes her hand. I promise. This is my line in the sand too, Sarah. After this, everything changes. For Maya, for Lily's memory, and for you. Because I want a future with you that doesn't require constant vigilance and security details. Sarah squeezes his hand, feeling the weight of what she's considering. I need to make some calls. Talk to some people I trust. See what's actually possible without destroying my career or compromising patient care. Take whatever time you need. They finish dinner with the conversation shifted to safer topics, but the unspoken understanding hangs between them. Sarah is no longer just someone Alessandro is protecting. She's becoming a partner in dismantling the system that threatens them. On the drive home, Sarah finds herself analyzing the situation with the same strategic thinking she uses in trauma situations. Assess the threat, identify resources, develop an action plan, execute with precision. You're quiet, Alessandro observes. I'm thinking. If I do this, I need to do it right. No half measures, no amateur mistakes that could blow back on Maya. What are you considering? There's a detective I know. Sarah Chen, we have the same first name, which is how I remember her. She works gang violence, has been trying to build cases against major players for years. If I approached her with information about patterns I'm seeing in the ER, linked to specific organizations, she'd be interested. More than interested. She'd be grateful. The problem has always been getting witnesses to testify, getting evidence that holds up in court. But medical records, statistical patterns, expert testimony from trauma surgeons about the nature of injuries, that's harder to dispute. Alessandro is quiet, and when Sarah glances over, she sees something like admiration in his expression. You've already worked out a strategy. I'm a surgeon. Strategy is what I do. Identify the problem, map the approach, execute with precision, adjust as needed. She pauses. But I need to know something first. If I help build a legal case against Carmine, if the authorities arrest him, will your world accept that? Or will there be retaliation against me for involving law enforcement? There will be some who see it as violation of our codes, Alessandro admits. But I'm already planning to restructure how we operate. This would just accelerate that timeline. And Sarah, if there is retaliation, you'll have my entire organization protecting you. I won't let anyone touch you or Maya. Sarah nods slowly, her decision crystallizing. Okay, I'll do it. But not just for you, or for us. I'm doing it because that 19-year-old kid deserved better. Because his mother deserved better. Because every patient I lose to gang violence represents a failure of the system to protect vulnerable people. You're remarkable, Alessandro says quietly. I'm practical, and I'm tired of being afraid. If we're going to do this, if we're going to actually build something together, then I need to be an active participant. Not someone you protect, but someone who fights alongside you. They arrive at Sarah's building, and Alessandro walks her to her door despite her protests that it's not necessary. At the threshold, he pulls her close, his forehead resting against hers. Thank you, he whispers, for choosing to stay, to fight, to trust me despite every reason not to. Don't thank me yet, Sarah replies. We still have to survive what comes next. Alessandro kisses her then, soft and careful and full of promise. Sarah lets herself sink into it, this moment of connection before the storm they're about to walk into together. When they finally break apart, Sarah says, "I'll call Detective Chen tomorrow, set up a meeting, figure out what information I can provide legally and ethically, and I'll move forward with the council meeting, present my case for restructuring, for ending the activities that create your ER casualties. We're really doing this. We really are." After Alessandro leaves, Sarah checks on Maya sleeping peacefully, unaware of the plans being made to protect her. Sarah sits on the edge of her daughter's bed, watching her breathe, feeling the weight of the choices she's making. Mrs. Kim appears in the doorway, silent as always. "You've decided to fight. How did you know?" "I've known you long enough, Dr. Chen. You don't run from threats. You eliminate them." The elderly woman pauses. "My late husband worked for Alessandro's organization. I know what that world is like. Are you sure you want to enter it?" "I'm already in it. The question is whether I'm going to be passive or active, victim or warrior. I choose warrior." "Good. That little girl needs a mother who fights for her, and Alessandro needs a partner who won't let him fall back into old patterns." "You approve of him?" Sarah asks, surprised. "I approve of the man he's trying to become. Whether he succeeds depends partly on you, on whether you demand he follow through on his promises." "Mrs. Kim smiles. "You're good for each other, I think. You both need someone who refuses to accept less than your best selves." The next morning, Sarah calls Detective Sarah Chen from the hospital. They've crossed paths before on cases where victims needed law enforcement follow-up, and the detective has always impressed Sarah with her dedication and intelligence. "Dr. Chen, good to hear from you. What can I do for you?" "I need to meet with you. Off the record initially. I have information about gang violence patterns that might be useful for your investigations." There's a pause. "What kind of information?" "The kind that could help you build cases. But I need to know what I can share legally without violating patient confidentiality. Can we meet? Somewhere private?" "Coffee shop near the courthouse. 2:00? I'll be there." Sarah spends the morning pulling data from the ER database, anonymized statistics about gunshot wounds, assault patterns, territorial correlations. Nothing that violates HIPAA, but enough to show clear trends that could guide investigations. At 2:00, she meets Detective Chen at a small coffee shop that's nearly empty on a Tuesday afternoon. The detective is in her 40s, sharp-eyed and direct. "Dr. Chen, I'll be honest, I'm intrigued and suspicious in equal measure. What's really going on?" Sarah takes a breath. "I'm in a relationship with Alessandro Vitale." The detective's expression doesn't change, but her posture shifts slightly. "That's unexpected. He's trying to transition his operations into legitimate businesses. But one of his rivals, Carmine Benedetti, is threatening me and my daughter to get leverage against Alessandro. I want to help build a legal case against Benedetti that removes him as a threat permanently." "You understand what you're asking? The kind of danger you're putting yourself in by actively working against a crime boss?" "I'm already in danger. This way at least I'm doing something about it instead of just waiting to be victimized." Detective Chen studies Sarah for a long moment. "What kind of information can you provide?" "Statistical patterns showing clusters of gang violence in Benedetti's territories. Expert testimony about injury patterns consistent with his organization's methods. Potential witnesses among survivors who might be willing to testify with proper protection. And," Sarah pauses, "information about corrupt officials who facilitate his operations." "You have evidence of official corruption?" "Alessandro does. He's willing to share it in exchange for focused efforts against Benedetti specifically." The detective leans back, processing this. "So Vitale is essentially asking me to help him eliminate a rival by legal means. He's asking you to prosecute someone who should have been prosecuted years ago." "Yes, it benefits him, but it also benefits every person who won't become a victim of Benedetti's violence going forward." "And after Benedetti, does Vitale think this buys him immunity from prosecution?" "No," Sarah says firmly. "He knows he's vulnerable too, but he's committed to transforming his operations over the next 5 years. This is the first step removing the most violent actors from the ecosystem." Detective Chen is quiet for a long moment, weighing options. Finally, she says, "I'll need to run this up the chain. The DA will want to be involved, but Dr. Chen, if we do this, you're going to be a witness. Your relationship with Vitale will become public. Your career could be affected." "I know, but my daughter's safety matters more than my reputation." "All right, give me 2 days to set up a meeting with the DA. In the meantime, compile whatever data you can provide legally. And Dr. Chen? Be careful. Benedetti's people are watching Vitali closely. They might already know about you. Sarah leaves the meeting feeling both empowered and terrified. She's just taken a step that can't be undone, committed herself to a path that will expose her to scrutiny and danger. But she's also done something she hasn't done in 8 months, taken control of her own narrative instead of just reacting to circumstances. That evening, she tells Alessandro about the meeting. They're in her apartment, Maya asleep in the next room, speaking in low voices about strategy and risk. Detective Chen wants to involve the DA, Sarah explains. They'll need comprehensive evidence, witness testimony, everything you can provide about Benedetti's operations. I can give them that. I've been documenting his violations for months, anticipating I might need leverage. Alessandro, once we do this, there's no going back. Your world will know you cooperated with law enforcement. Some will see that as betrayal. Let them. I'm done living by rules that protect men like Carmine while destroying communities. If bringing him down legally means I lose respect from people whose respect I shouldn't want anyway, that's a price I'm willing to pay. Sarah moves closer to him on the couch. I need to know something. When this is over, when Carmine is handled and your operations are transitioning, what do you see? For us, is this just about protecting Maya and me? Or is there something more? Alessandro takes her hand, his expression vulnerable in a way she's never seen before. Sarah, I see a future where I'm not just pretending to be Marcus, Maya's substitute father figure. I see actually being her father in every way that matters. I see building a life with you that doesn't require constant security measures and threat assessments. I see becoming someone Lily would be proud of, and someone you and Maya can build a future with. That's a lot to promise. I know, but I've never been more certain of anything. These past weeks with you both, I've remembered who I wanted to be before grief and violence reshaped me. You make me want to be better, Sarah. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to earn a place in your lives permanently. Sarah feels tears prick her eyes. I'm falling in love with you, and it terrifies me because I can't afford to lose someone else I love. I don't think I'd survive it. Then we won't let that happen. We'll fight together, eliminate the threats, build something stable and safe. He pulls her close. I love you too, Sarah. I have for weeks. And I promise you, I will keep you and Maya safe while we burn down the obstacles between us and the future we deserve. They kiss, deeper this time, with the urgency of people who've decided to risk everything for a chance at something real. When they finally break apart, Sarah says, Maya's school play is Friday night. She's been practicing for weeks. Will you come, both as Marcus, her father figure, and as Alessandro, the man I'm with? Nothing could keep me away. Good. Because after the play, we need to talk to her. Explain what's happening in age-appropriate terms. She deserves to know why security is increasing, why we're being more careful. And she deserves to know that we're together, really together, not just co-parenting. Alessandro nods. We'll tell her together, as a family. The word settles between them, heavy with significance. Family. Not the pretend version they've been maintaining, but the real thing. Complicated and imperfect and worth fighting for. The next 3 days pass in a blur of preparation. Sarah meets with the DA, provides data and expert testimony, establishes her credibility as a witness. Alessandro delivers evidence against Carmine financial records, recorded conversations, documentation of violent acts that Carmine thought were safely hidden. The DA is cautious but interested. This is enough to bring charges, she says. But arresting Benedetti will trigger retaliation. Your organization, Dr. Chen, Mr. Vitale, are you prepared for the fallout? We're prepared, Sarah says firmly, surprised by the we that's become natural. On Thursday evening, Alessandro's security team reports concerning news. Boss, Benedetti's crew has been surveilling Riverside Academy. They know about the school play tomorrow night. Alessandro goes very still. What kind of surveillance? Reconnaissance level, checking security, exits, crowd size. They're planning something. Sarah, who's present for the briefing, feels ice flood her veins. They're going to target the play. Use Maya to send a message. Not if we're ready for them, Alessandro says. His voice dropping to the deadly calm she's learned means he's at his most dangerous. Marco, I want our entire security team at that school tomorrow. Armed, alert, coordinated with the DA's office. If Benedetti makes a move, we take him down legally if possible, permanently if necessary. Boss, doing this in front of civilians, in front of kids, is exactly why we need overwhelming force. Benedetti won't expect me to bring military-grade security to a children's play. That's our advantage. Sarah stands. I need to be part of the security planning. I know the school layout, the potential choke points, where parents will congregate. You need my expertise. Alessandro looks at her, seeing the steel in her expression. All right, but Sarah, if things go wrong, you get Maya and run. Non-negotiable. If things go wrong, I fight. I'm not running anymore, Alessandro. We end this tomorrow night. One way or another. Friday evening arrives clear and cold. Riverside Academy's auditorium fills with parents, grandparents, and siblings, all there to watch second graders perform The Princess and the Dragon. Sarah arrives early, her eyes scanning the crowd, recognizing at least 15 of Alessandro's security team blended among the civilians. Alessandro himself sits beside her in the front row, his hand finding hers, squeezing gently. Maya's going to be wonderful, he murmurs. She's terrified and excited in equal measure. Like her mother, the lights dim. The curtain rises. Maya steps onto the stage in her princess costume, and despite the tension humming through Sarah's body, she feels pride and love swell in her chest. For the first 20 minutes, everything proceeds perfectly. Maya delivers her lines with confidence, the other children are adorable, and the cardboard dragon is appropriately menacing. Then Sarah's phone vibrates. A text from Detective Chen. Benedetti's vehicle spotted 2 blocks away. 4 armed men with him. Units moving to intercept, but you need to be ready. Sarah shows the message to Alessandro, whose expression hardens. He signals Marco with a subtle gesture, and Sarah watches the security team shift into high alert, hands moving toward concealed weapons. On stage, Maya is in her big confrontation scene with the dragon. The irony isn't lost on Sarah. Her daughter is pretending to face down a monster while real monsters approach. Then the fire alarm goes off. Chaos erupts instantly. Children on stage look confused. Teachers begin evacuation protocols. Parents stand and move toward exits. The perfect cover for an attack. Stay with Maya, Alessandro orders Sarah. Marco, evacuate the auditorium. Now. But Sarah sees something others miss. While everyone moves toward the main exits, a side door opens. 4 men enter, scanning the crowd with predatory focus. Benedetti's crew. Sarah makes a split-second decision. Instead of running toward Maya on stage, she moves toward the men, pulling out her phone, recording everything. Dr. Chen, what are you doing? One of them asks, recognizing her. Documenting. Every parent in this auditorium is filming right now. You're on at least 50 different cell phones. Whatever you do next, it's recorded evidence that will be used against you. The lead man, Sarah, recognizes him from police bulletins as Carmine's lieutenant hesitates. He hadn't anticipated being filmed by dozens of civilian witnesses. From behind Sarah, Alessandro appears with his own security team. They've positioned themselves between the intruders and the children, creating a human barrier. Carmine, Alessandro says coldly, addressing the lieutenant, made a miscalculation. He thought I'd be too civilized to bring my world into a children's school. He was wrong. The question now is whether you're stupid enough to start a firefight in front of 50 witnesses and 24 police units waiting outside. The lieutenant's eyes dart around, seeing the tactical disadvantage. Civilians everywhere, cameras recording, police en route, Alessandro's team outnumbering his crew 3-1. Tell Benedetti, Alessandro continues, his voice carrying a promise of violence, that if he ever comes near this school again, near Dr. Chen, near Maya, I will end him. Not quickly, not cleanly, but slowly enough that he understands the magnitude of his mistake. Sarah steps forward, her voice steady despite her racing heart. And tell him that the DA has enough evidence to indict him on 17 felony counts. The arrest warrant is being executed right now at his location. This was a trap, and he walked right into it. The lieutenant's face goes pale as he processes this information. Behind him, through the windows, police lights illuminate the parking lot. Detective Chen enters through the main door, uniformed officers flanking her. Everyone on the ground. Now, Benedetti's men comply, knowing resistance is futile. Sarah watches them being cuffed, feeling the adrenaline drain from her system, leaving her shaky but triumphant. On stage, Maya has been shepherded backstage by teachers, safe and unaware of how close danger came. The evacuation completes without incident, parents and children filing out calmly once they realize there's no actual fire. Outside, while police process arrests and parents reunite with children, Alessandro pulls Sarah aside. You walked toward armed men, he says, his voice tight with emotion. You put yourself between them and Maya instead of running. So did you. That's what parents do. That's what partners do. He kisses her then, in full view of everyone, no longer hiding what they are to each other. When they finally break apart, Sarah sees Maya watching them from the school entrance. Mrs. Patterson's hand on her shoulder. Sarah and Alessandro approach together. Maya looks between them, understanding dawning in her expression. Marcus, are you and Mom? Yes, Sarah says, kneeling to her daughter's level. Marcus, his real name is Alessandro, and I care about each other very much. Is that okay with you? Maya considers this seriously. Does this mean he's going to be my real dad? Not just pretend? Alessandro kneels beside Sarah. Maya, if you and your mother will have me, I'd be honored to be your dad in every way that matters. Not to replace your birth father, but to be someone else who loves you and protects you and shows up for you, always. Maya throws her arms around both of them, and Sarah feels tears stream down her face as the three of them hold each other, while police lights flash and the world continues its chaos around them. I have one question, Maya says after a moment. Can I still call you Marcus? I'm used to it now. Alessandro laughs, the sound genuine and free. You can call me whatever you want, Piccola. I'll answer to anything as long as you're safe and happy. Detective Chen approaches with official forms needing signatures. Dr. Chen, Mr. Vitali, we've arrested Benedetti at his location. He's being charged with attempted kidnapping, conspiracy, weapons violations, and about a dozen other felonies thanks to your cooperation. This is good work. It's not work, Sarah says, holding Maya and Alessandro close. It's survival. It's protection. It's love. Over the following weeks, Carmine Benedetti's empire collapses under the weight of evidence and prosecution. Other families take note. Alessandro Vitale eliminated a rival through legal means, proving that transformation is possible, that adaptation is survival. The council meeting happens, and Alessandro presents his 5-year transition plan. 5 families vote in favor. The others abstain but don't oppose. The criminal ecosystem begins its slow metamorphosis into something less violent, more sustainable. Sarah's career survives the revelation of her relationship with Alessandro. The hospital board questions her judgment but ultimately recognizes that she acted to protect her daughter and helped remove violent criminals from their community. If anything, her willingness to testify increases her credibility. 6 months later, Sarah stands in the garden of Alessandro's estate, their estate now. As she and Maya have moved in, watching her daughter practice chess moves while Alessandro coaches her patiently. Mrs. Kim tends the flower beds she's claimed as her own project since moving into the guest house. She's become the grandmother Maya never had, the wise observer who keeps them all grounded. Check, Maya announces triumphantly, moving her queen into position. Alessandro studies the board, then smiles. Well played, Piccola. Your mother taught you that move? Mom teaches me about being smart. You teach me about being brave. Together I'm smart and brave. Sarah joins them on the terrace, carrying lemonade. And what does that combination make you? Unstoppable, Maya says confidently. Alessandro pulls Sarah down beside him, kissing her temple. She gets that from you, the certainty that obstacles are just problems waiting for the right solution. She gets it from all of us. Sarah corrects. From me, from you, from the family we've built. That's what makes it work. We each contribute something essential. Later, after Maya is asleep and Mrs. Kim has retired to her guest house, Sarah and Alessandro sit together on the balcony overlooking the gardens. The city spreads below them, its lights a reminder of the world they've chosen to reshape rather than abandon. Detective Chen called today, Alessandro says. Benedetti's trial starts next month. She wanted to confirm you're still willing to testify. Of course I am. We finish what we started. And after? When all of this is truly behind us? Sarah turns to look at him. This man who was supposed to be a dangerous stranger and became her partner, her love, her future. After, we keep building. You continue transforming your operations. I keep saving lives in the ER. Maya grows up knowing she's loved and protected and capable of anything. And us? Alessandro asks, pulling a small box from his pocket. What about us? Sarah's breath catches as he opens it, revealing a simple but perfect diamond ring. Sarah Chen, you've transformed my life in ways I didn't know were possible. You took a broken man and showed him how to be whole again. You gave me hope when I'd forgotten what it felt like. You made me want to be worthy of love again. He takes her hand. Will you marry me? Will you make this family we've built official? Will you let me spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you? Sarah feels tears spill over, but she's smiling. Yes, to all of it. Because you've transformed my life too, Alessandro. You showed me that it's okay to ask for help, to share burdens, to build something new from the ashes of loss. You gave Maya a father when she needed one most. You gave me a partner when I'd forgotten what partnership felt like. He slides the ring onto her finger, then kisses her with all the passion and promise they've been building toward for months. When they finally break apart, Sarah whispers, "Thank you for saying yes that day. When Maya asked you to pretend to be her father. Thank you for letting me. For seeing past who I was to who I could become. For fighting beside me instead of just letting me protect you." They sit together in comfortable silence. Two people who found each other in the most unlikely circumstances and chose to build something beautiful from the wreckage of their pasts. Inside, Maya sleeps peacefully, dreaming of dragons she's already defeated and kingdoms she'll one day rule. She doesn't know yet that her brave question to a stranger on a school playground saved 3 lives, her own, her mother's, and the soul of a man who'd forgotten he had one. But someday, when she's older, they'll tell her the full story. About the Mafia boss, and the trauma surgeon, and the little girl whose courage changed everything. About the family that wasn't supposed to exist but fought for the right to anyway. About how sometimes the most impossible love stories are the ones most worth fighting for. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.